Welcome to my channel on the Best of Fantasy. 2024 is nearly upon us, and it promises to be another ambitious year of fantasy reading for many, including myself. So let's get right into it and talk about some of the books, some of the series that I want to read. Some I'll be finishing, some I will be starting in 2024, beginning with the very end of the realm of the Elderlings. This is one of the big ones. I have already read the first book in the final trilogy of the Realm of the Elderlings, the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. Loved the first book. I'll be reading book 2, probably finishing it before the end of December, and finishing the entire series with Assassin's Fate. And I say it with a mixture of great anticipation and a little bit of melancholy, because this is one of the last great series that I felt like I absolutely needed to read, and it has not disappointed me at all. This is a series that is already in my top 3, and just to judge by that first book in Fitz and the Fool, my goodness, I don't know where this could go, but I have really loved this journey tremendously, and I can't wait to be able to say I haven't finished the entirety of the Realm of the Elderlings. I'm sure I will be rereading this series many a time over the years in the future. Next on my list of stuff I'm pretty certain I'm going to get to right in January, we have Bold Ascension by Von Roycroft. This is the second book in the Sundered Nation trilogy. I loved the first book. It is one of my very favorite self-published fantasies. The first book is The Severing Sun, and I can't wait to finish this. I actually started already. I needed to finish a few buddy reads here in December, so I'm doing that, dutifully finishing my buddy reads and enjoying them too, but I can't wait to get back to this world that Von Roycroft has created here based on the interactions between the Goths and the Romans. So really great, historically oriented fantasy. I'm loving this series, and I can't wait to see what he does in Bold Ascension. And then we have a bunch of books that I need to read and am looking forward to very much for SPFBO, the self-published fantasy blog off. I am one of the judges for that wonderful contest started by Mark Lawrence, and I put one of those finalists there myself. I'm really happy with it, but here are the others, and I'll be reading all 9 of these before the deadline. These include Master of the Void by Wend Raven, The Wickwire Watch by Jacqueline Hagan, The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan, Daughter of the Beast by E.C. Greaves, The Last Ranger by J.D.L. Rossell, The Last Fang of God by Ryan Kirk, Murder at Spindle Manor by Morgan Stang, and Murder at Spindle Manor was the one that I put in there. Love it. Cold West by Clayton Snyder, Hills of Heather and Bone by K.E. Andrews, and Arrival Most Vile by R.K. Ashwick. So I'm looking forward to reading all of those very much. And I am also going to be continuing with a series that I am going to probably have to put in my all-time favorite list, and that is Wars of Light and Shadow by Jenny Wirtz. I am in fact reading the 4th book in this monumental 11-book epic fantasy series. As I speak, it is my current read, but I will be continuing, of course, with it with book 5, Grand Conspiracy, early in the year, and I'm very excited because I have fallen in love with everything about this series. It is up there with Malazan and Realm of the Elderlings in terms of depth and complexity, and I believe that Jenny Wirtz should be talked about in the same breath with those great authors. So yes, great stuff, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing where this takes me. And I will also be reading the Sandman. This is also a continuation of a series that I started, and I have not gotten very far. I read the first 8 issues, and I look forward to continuing this. I loved the first 8 issues, and I want to continue in 2024 until I finish all of this masterpiece by Neil Gaiman. I am a fan of American Gods and The Ocean at the End of the Lane, and it is high time that I finished probably Gaiman's most famous work, I would guess, The Sandman. But I am loving this. I grew up on comic books, so the graphic novel is a perfect medium for me. I really enjoy the art in here as well as the storytelling. So, and it is some pretty bizarre stuff in the best possible way. I would expect nothing less of Neil Gaiman. And I will also be reading Descending Stories. Speaking of storytelling that includes art, I'm continuing in my manga reads that I've been collaborating with Murphy Napier on. And Descending Stories is the next manga series that we will be reading, and I am very much looking forward to that one. I hear that it's packed with some great themes, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about the manga art form by reading this series. And I also will be reading some other self-published and indie press books in this year. I have a whole bunch that I need to read after I finish with the SPFBO finalists. And the first I want to pick up is The Altar of My Fate. This is the first book in the Rostival saga by Michael Schultheis. And this is a 5-book series that is now complete. I am really looking forward to this. I have all 5 books ready to read, and I'm excited to see what Michael Schultheis comes up with here in this series. Another one in my list of self-published and indie press books that I am looking forward to reading this year, and I want to get to more and more and more of these, is The World Queen Awakens by Micah Harris. And this is actually part of the Chronicles of Aristad. And within that series, it is the Agents of the Runestone Ring Trilogy, Volume 1. And I'm very much looking forward to this. I have seen, actually, Micah Harris's writing outside of fiction. I've read some of his stuff that is nonfiction, and he can write. So I am guessing that this is going to be excellent, and I'm very much looking forward to it. You can see some comic book inspiration here in the cover. And so I imagine, though, that this is fiction, no pictures. Well, there actually might be some pictures inside as well, but it is primarily a novel. But I imagine there might be some influence at play in there. But I'm very excited to read this. Also, Micah happens to be a really cool guy who leaves excellent comments on BookTube. And next in my list of self-published and indie press fantasy that I want to be reading in 2024, and there's a whole bunch more as well. I will get to more, I hope, but these are the ones I'm just trying to prioritize first because I've had these the longest. But Andrew Meredith's Deathless Beast. And this is volume 1 of, and I always say this wrong, I'm sorry, Andrew, the Calatian Saga? I'm sorry. But Deathless Beast, I'm very much looking forward to this. Andrew is a writer that I've interacted with on Twitter, but also he appears on YouTube. Seems like a great guy. I'm told that his style is somewhat similar to my own writing style in some ways. So I'm really excited to see what Andrew comes up with and to delve into this. I know it is a favorite of many of my friends here on BookTube. And after that, I have another one that I want to get to for sure this year. It is The Garden Gnome by Jeff McIntyre. Jeff is another person that I know from Twitter and occasionally on BookTube. Seems like a great fella, but this is the Theory of Magic Book 1. And just from the cover itself, you can see the little gnome hat there. There seems to be some whimsy in this, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Jeff comes up with in here. And so what else have I got here? Well, I mentioned Mark Lawrence earlier in the context of SPFBO, and I am also excited to continue in the Library Trilogy. I don't think the cover is out yet, so I can't show that, but I read the first one, The Book That Wouldn't Burn, and I loved it. It is actually my favorite book of 2023. So you can imagine I'm very excited for the April release of the next book in the Library Trilogy, which is The Book That Broke the World. I will be sure to pretty much drop everything and pick that up. I also want to continue in a series that I began, sort of, kind of. It's the Second Apocalypse series by R. Scott Baker. I read the first trilogy in that series, The Prince of Nothing, which begins with The Darkness That Comes Before. But I want to continue with Aspect Emperor, which is sort of the next part of that whole Second Apocalypse series. That's 4 books. And it begins with, I'm not sure what it begins with, but I will be reading those 4 books and it's at some point in 2024, continuing with that series. R. Scott Baker, immensely talented writer. I can't wait to see how this series continues. It was a very bleak trilogy, The Prince of Nothing, but I cannot help but admire his writing and his imagination, and also his incorporation of theme. Some really tough, bleak stuff going on in that series, but so much talent and some important thoughts. Another series that I am going to be continuing in 2024 is Jim Butcher's Dresden Files. I have read the first 6 books. I've had a bit of a gap since I read the 6th one, but I'm excited to read Deadbeat. That's the 7th book in the series, and eventually, maybe not in 2024, but probably by 2025 at some point, I would like to be all caught up with Dresden Files, because I did enjoy a lot of aspects of the earlier books, and I trust the fans who have told me that the series gets better and better and better and picks up momentum. And I've kind of put off continuing the series deliberately, mainly because I feel like there could come a point where I'm going to get hooked and I don't want to put it down. So that hopefully will happen to me in 2024. And another series that I am going to be continuing, I started a reread. So I had read the first 4 books in the Earthsea series by Ursula Le Guin, and I did reread those first 4 books in that series earlier in 2023. It was like coming home. Le Guin is one of my main influences, one of the reasons why I love fantasy so much. I feel like I have learned so much from her writing, not only her fiction, but also some of her essays. I just love her writing, and I never did read the last part. So my goal is in 2024 is to finish everything Earthsea, and then which includes a short story collection, Tales from Earthsea, and I think the last what's the last book called? The Last Wind or something like that. I think I have that slightly wrong, but anyway, there's another novel in there that I need to read. And hopefully what I'll be able to do is give I want to make a video on the entire series once I've finished and discuss what I love about Earthsea, and also kind of review the last couple of the short stories and the final novel as well. So hopefully that's something I will accomplish in 2024. I think that is doable. And in fact, I look forward to it very much. So some series that I want to begin in 2024 include The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. I hear great things about this from many of my friends on BookTube, and it feels like something that's going to appeal to me. So I'm really excited to give this one a shot. Another one that I hear lots of buzz about, it's not fantasy, but it's science fiction with a kind of like Star Wars, Dune, that sort of thing. So science fiction with a heavy dose of fantasy, let's say, using a lot of the typical fantasy tropes I hear. So anyway, it's Sun Eater by Christopher Ruocchio. I think it's Ruocchio. I'm going to mispronounce that until somebody sets me straight. But I hear great things, and it sounds like a series that is going to be right up my alley. I hear that it is very thoughtful, that it is very much a product of Ruocchio's reading of many of the great classics, and that he's a very talented writer. All these things appeal to me very much, so I'm excited to dive into Sun Eater and see what it's like. And finally, a series that I want to begin in 2024 that I'm really excited for, I hear so much about, is The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. This is one that just seems like destiny is calling. I need to read this series and see what it's all about. I suspect that Ryan Cahill and I love a lot of the same things, and I'm really looking forward to checking out what he's done in this series that so many of my good friends already have read and loved. So it's going to be exciting for me to read Ryan Cahill's work. Also, I just want to say that he was so kind to me when I was publishing this year my books. He reached out to me and said, hey, if you want some, tips, I'd be happy to help you out. And he met with me, talked with me for over an hour, and it was so helpful. For that reason alone, I would want to read his books, but also just because, look, there's just so much buzz and there's got to be something great going on there. So I'm looking forward to reading The Bound and the Broken. And so that's what I had just kind of off the top of my head. Who knows what will actually happen in 2024? If things go really well, I could even read more stuff. I'd love to get to more of the self-published fantasy that I have on my shelves waiting for me, for example. But we shall see. I will do my very best. I have my own writing to do as well. So I'm going to be a busy fellow, but a happily busy fellow, doing all the reading and writing and making videos and getting to talk to all you people. So let me know what you think if you have read some of these already, if you're going to read some of these already, but let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time.